When you move abroad, something happens to your friendships that nobody warns you about. Some people just disappear. Not with an argument, not with a goodbye, it just ends. And with this, it made me rethink everything I thought I knew about friendship. Before I moved abroad, most of my friendships, well, we were quite close together. We were in the same sort of area and had similar interests, similar sort of phase of life. So meeting up was simple, it was easy, it was convenient. However, when I moved abroad, that all quickly changed because suddenly now you have distance in the equation. And with that, some of my friendships quickly faded. Not because anyone did anything wrong, it was just because the connection relied more on proximity than a deeper connection. And of course, it's also because, well, we're changing, we're growing, and, well, we couldn't relate the same way anymore. I mean, with a lot of my friends, we're in different phases of life now. And, well, because I've had an experience of moving abroad, I'm not the same person I was before. So naturally, that can cause both physical distance between you and, well, emotional. And I noticed when I was going back home sometimes, well, it was difficult to make conversation sometimes, and you'd just be reminiscing of old times, but not really being able to feel fully comfortable. And to be honest, a lot of the time I was kind of defaulting to my old persona and my old personality rather than embracing who I'm becoming or who I am now. That's something to bear in mind and something that was really strange for me to try and get my head around, get used to, that going back home was interesting. And these experiences of trying to reminisce and connect with certain friends, it just didn't work how it used to. And later I'll touch on how that affected me and how I went about overcoming this. But interestingly enough, some of my friendships have got stronger, which showed me that we didn't need to be in constant communication or see each other constantly to be able to still have a good connection, or to even build a stronger connection. Like for instance with my two best friends and a few of my other close friends. We can go months without speaking and there's no pressure there, there's no awkwardness, there's no strangeness, whatever. Is still there. And this helped me realize that real friendships isn't about constant attention. It's about alignment. That you have similar sort of goals, similar sort of outlook on life. Because that's how you build real long-lasting friendship, is that you both kind of have the same sort of outlook in general on life and you're pushing maybe towards similar sort of goals. Which in turn meant I look at friendships differently. I've become more selective. More really looking for people who have less negativity. They more, in general, have a positive outlook on life, but also people who are more growth oriented, people who have some ambition, people who want to achieve things in life, and people who can have those deeper, meaningful conversations. And this is why I look at friendships differently. And with that being more selective, it tends to result in fewer friends. But for me, I think that's more important. I would rather quality over quantity. I think before, when I was younger and before the move, I probably would choose quantity. But now, I would choose quality. But with this, obviously you still think of the lost friendships. You still think of the friends that you've lost along this journey from moving abroad. Because I did lose friends. Some I managed to keep with me, and like I said, got stronger, but some I couldn't. Some didn't come along this journey with me. But it helped me to realize that friendships have seasons. Not all of our friends will be with us the whole way of our journey, our whole lives. Some friends will just be with us for certain phases, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing on them, and that's not a bad thing on us. We all change as people, and our circumstances change. Everything changes, our outlook, everything. So we can't always keep that connection alive. Ultimately, some people belong to the person you were, and some belong to the person you're becoming. When you change your environment, your identity is slowly changing. And so naturally, your relationships, your friendships do the same. So bringing this back round to practical advice for you, practical takeaways. If you're thinking about moving abroad, or you already have, here's what I want you to know. Don't take fading friendships personally. I know it's easy to do. You think, I should have done this. I wish I'd done this. Or you might maybe they will be mean to you or rude to you, that think you've changed or you're not the same person and that they would be aggressive. I don't know. But don't take it personally. Ultimately, you are growing. You are drifting apart. The truth is, when you move abroad, you're changing. You're almost getting a new identity. And the sad truth is that not every friendship is meant to survive every version of you. Friendships have seasons. And sometimes people are attached to your old identity, which is a shame because you like your new identity. But it just means that there's a misalignment now. That maybe it won't work, and it doesn't have to be a messy breakup or anything like this. It just doesn't work so much anymore. You can't be as close as you used to be. And that fading friendship doesn't mean it's a failure or anything like that. It's just life. Distance kills weak friendships. And that might well be a harsh truth, but it is true. Depth matters more than frequency. The thing is, when your time and energy are limited when you're abroad, you naturally become more intentional. You stop chasing constant interaction. You value more meaningful conversation. So you realize that you don't need 20 friends. You just need a handful of ones that you're aligned with, you're attuned to. And with that, you don't need to constantly be interacting. And the time when you are interacting, you value that more. And that's almost why you choose to have more meaningful conversation. So that's why for me, depth is more important than frequency. And I value quality friendships over quantity. That being said, when we move abroad, when we lose friends and we're sort of changing our identity almost, it can take time to make new friends. So we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves if we're struggling to make new friends. Because let's be honest, making new friends as an adult in a different country is very hard. I mean, it's hard enough as it is. When you move to another country, it is another level. So that doesn't mean that something is wrong with us, that we're doing something wrong. Because the truth is that moving abroad is difficult on its own. And social anxiety and fatigue is another layer. And whilst we're trying to rebuild ourselves abroad, that's a lot to contend with, as well as trying to make new friends. So we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves if we're struggling or if it takes us time to build a social circle, because it's normal. It's totally normal that we're moving abroad and that it's going to take time. So don't be too hard on yourself if you're struggling. But word of warning, this part is tough. It was a struggle for me trying to build back up like a friendship base. But now I can safely say I have quite a few good friends here that I can really rely upon. And I'm so thankful for them. But ultimately, I would say learn to be your own best friend. I know this sounds cliche and nandy-pandy, whatever, but it's true. When you move abroad, it forces you to spend a lot of time alone. Hell, that's how it has been for me. And if you don't like your own company, well, that loneliness feels unbearable. But when you learn to enjoy your own company, friendships become a bonus. It's not a necessity, but it's an added bonus. It's an extra. And now I have more belief, more faith, more enjoyment, and, well, more confidence in my own company and in myself than I ever did before. Because I've done the inner work to like myself, I guess, is maybe the right thing to say. But I think it's important we be our own best friend, because ultimately, a lot of the time, we will be very harsh on ourselves. We tend to be our own biggest critic. And when you move abroad, you're going to spend a lot of time alone. So you might as well get used to it, and you might as well enjoy your own company. So ultimately, moving abroad didn't make me lose my friendships. It helped me see them from a different perspective, to understand what connections were real and meaningful. And while that came with a lot of loneliness, I won't lie, it was a struggle, but it also brought clarity, self-respect, and deeper relationships than I ever had before. If you've experienced something similar, or you're thinking about moving abroad but worried about how it might affect your friendships and your social circle, then let me know below. Comment below your thoughts, and I hope this video has helped you see how it could look for you, how friendships will inevitably change in general, but especially when you move abroad. And talking about moving abroad, I have a playlist of my life lessons that I've encountered from moving abroad when I moved from the UK to Slovakia almost 3 years ago now. And you can check that playlist out right over there. With that being said, I hope this video has helped you. If it has, please do leave a like, and I'll see you over there. Take care. See you next time. Bye bye.